In this video, I'll be sharing an example of how M by Nye agent is applied in the insurance industry. The content is a bit advanced, but I'll try my best to explain it in simple terms. Now, sometimes I hear people say that AI is just a passing trend, and there are also some who think that AI agents are simply impossible to succeed. So what do I think? At this moment, I don't see AI agent technology as something that can 100% replace humans, but it can definitely help people save some effort. For example, a lot of time is spent on repetitive tasks like searching for information. There are many jobs that require frequent data retrieval. For instance, when a company needs to provide a quotation after receiving an inquiry, the salesperson responsible for quoting has to look up past quotation examples within the company. Or, if it's a factory, they need to check whether their materials meet the client's requirements, and so on. Copying and searching for information like this is actually very time-consuming. So how can an AI agent help? Let's use the insurance industry as an example. This case, by the way, is something I downloaded online. This is a benefits table for an insurance plan. For example, it lists how much you get per day for hospitalization, and if you need intensive care, how much compensation you receive per day. Also, if you undergo surgery, it's further categorized, whether the surgery is major, medium, or minor. This PDF, by the way, is a total of 92 pages. So, if someone needs to make an insurance claim, the staff responsible would have to go into this list to search for the relevant information. For example, you'll see procedures like finger joint fusion and so on. Now, of course, you might ask, can't I just use Ctrl+F to search this document? But as you can see, the names of these surgeries are extremely academic. Sometimes, if you don't enter the exact academic term, you just won't find it. Traditionally, you have to get the keywords exactly right to locate what you need. But in the world of AI, as long as you enter something with a similar meaning or related idea, AI can still find it for you. So how do we get the most up-to-date information? Let me give you an example. This agent here already has the PDF document we mentioned earlier built in. This is actually what we call RAG technology. What does RAG mean? It means that instead of using the AI's built-in knowledge, because the AI's built-in knowledge doesn't contain your company's data, if it tries to answer without your data, it can end up hallucinating. So here, I input a prompt and provide it with the data, telling it that it must reference the company information I give it to answer. Now, let me quickly demonstrate. Let's say I ask a question now. Which category does cataract surgery fall under? Here you can see that it's now searching the database for information. On the left side, you can see the answers it has returned. Here you can see that on page 35, it found a lot of information. One of them is exactly about cataracts, and there are 4 other pieces of information mentioning phacoemulsification. Now, I'll ask the AI whether this term is actually related to cataracts. So I'll copy this term and check it on Google. Wow, I think it's best if none of you look at those images. Yes, it's definitely related to eye surgery. It says it's on page 35. So now I'll open the PDF and go to page 35. Here, you'll see that this section is about the classification of the eye, and it says that this capsular extraction procedure is listed on page 35. It's classified as a medium-level surgery, so their response is correct. Now let's try the second one. What category does hemorrhoid removal fall under? Here, it says you can find it on page 30. So, I'll check page 30 now. It says that injection therapy and ligation for hemorrhoids are considered minor procedures. I'll cross-check this with document number 32. Their response, it's correct. What I just demonstrated is basically a standard RAG, meaning it knows how to cite documents to answer questions. In this application example, I even helped this insurance colleague prepare a complete report. Because very often, clients will directly provide the doctor's certificate, and sometimes you even need to upload these X-ray images and give them to an underwriter, the person responsible for reviewing the case, to see if the claim is actually covered. First of all, these photos are not real client photos. I got them online. They're just random ones I found online, not real client data. So here, I directly handed these 2 documents to the AI agent. Then, I told it to create a complete analysis report. Actually, I had already set up a prompt for this in the background. Here, it will first process the images. Let me share my thought process in designing this AI agent. For images, I use GPT-5. If it's analyzing PDFs, I use Gemini AI. Not many people know about this. GPT-5 is used for some medical analysis tasks. The scoring is actually quite good. After GPT-5 was released, on August 13th, a medical institution conducted an analysis where they asked some medical questions. GPT-5's average score was 72, which is much higher than the previous GPT-4o model, which scored 42, and a pre-license expert, that is a human expert who hasn't officially obtained their license yet, had an average score of 45. So, through this comparison, you can see that GPT is not The medical analysis report is actually quite good, so in this process we're not aiming to conduct a very rigorous medical analysis. We just want to get a general idea of what's in this X-ray. That's why I would use the GPT-5 model. And as for the reason for using Gemini, it's because sometimes the client submits a PDF with a lot of content, maybe 20 or 30 pages, and Gemini's strength is that it can handle up to 1 million tokens. So that's why I combine the two models to generate this report. And the biggest advantage of using Gemini is that the API is free, but just now I ran into a problem. I used up all the quota. So after waiting a bit, I'll have to try again. Now you can see it has generated a report. This simulated medical record says that the patient needs to have a replacement in what should be called the pelvic area. I'm not even sure what the exact term is in Chinese for this part. It's mentioned on page 40, and it found that this surgery is considered complex. Then, based on the content from page 28, which is the insurance table, it estimates if you claim all the money, it will show how much the chemotherapy costs are, and it will also list what other documents you need to process if you want to make a claim. I hope that through this example, everyone can better understand what AI is capable of now. In my opinion, if your company has colleagues who often spend a lot of time searching for information, you can already start applying AI technology right away. Coming up on September 20th and 27th, which are 2 consecutive Saturdays, there will be 2 different courses. On September 20th, in the course, you will learn about the RAG method I just mentioned, which means giving your company's documents to AI as references so it can answer questions, reducing the chances of it making mistakes or saying the wrong things. This can also help you save time searching for information. We will use some simple and easy to use tools, and they are free. In this course, we will also learn about prompt engineering and tools like ChatGPT Gemini for personal daily use. As for the course on September 27th, we will focus on the N/N tool I just showed you on the screen can do 2 things. First, it can set up an automated workflow, and second, it can create an AI agent. The course on the 27th will focus more on company-level applications. You will need to have a certain level of understanding of computer operations and AI. So, if you have never heard of RAG before, if you're not very familiar with prompt engineering techniques, or if you don't really know what an API or a token is, I suggest you also join the course on September 20th. After attending that course, you'll have a more comprehensive. The links to both courses are placed below the video. If you're interested, feel free to check them out yourself. I'll see you in class.